Dear Dhamma friends, first allow me to recall the blessings and the qualities of our spiritual guide before I say anything. The spiritual guide is often known to us, of course, in our English language as teacher. Although that is a very practical term, but a spiritual guide may be more appropriate. And this spiritual guide, of course, comes in various forms. And in our case, we have been fortunate to have had the chance to have that spiritual guide appearing in the form of the late 14th Kuzik Shamar Rinpoche, and along with him a great host of great many realized beings were present and are still present in our present day. So therefore, I would like to offer prayers by asking them to bless this occasion. The spiritual guide is the source of all joy, the source of all wisdom. In common words, we say source of compassion and wisdom. And this very spiritual guide is inseparable from the wisdom aspect, whatever form of wisdom aspect we rely on, or whatever wisdom vehicle we rely on. And the benefit of having such a spiritual guide is that although we may not have the chance to see a fully or perfectly enlightened beings like the historical Buddha Shakyamuni, and to hear from them or from him their direct wisdom, and on top of it the enlightened sanghas, such as fully realized bodhisattvas. But nevertheless, we have the very precious opportunity to be able to witness such as our spiritual guides, because they represent those three, and those three are known as triple gem or three jewels. And so therefore, it's extremely important to recall what they symbolize, what they represent, and most importantly, what we can absorb, what we can learn. So having said that, first of all, I would like to welcome all of you, dear Dhamma friends, through this virtual reality. I never thought that such occasions would come. I remember when I was first introduced to a computer when I first arrived in India, and I did hear things such as virtual realities and so on. I thought they were just science fictions. But nevertheless, after 20 years, we are finally using this technology. And it's a great technology, as long as, just like any other technology, if we use it with good motivation or genuine motivation and kind action, then any technology can be used, for example, like this today, to help each other discover the reality, discover who we are, and so on. And so therefore, now during this year, 2021, we will be both celebrating and taking the time to practice the precious Buddha Dharma through aspiration, through the practice of aspiration. And we all have to be very appreciative of the organizers and everyone who is involved to have made this occasion possible. So now, of course, this Kajim Helam, we are all considering it in a linear sort of historical, let's say, perspective, and we are seeing this as the 19th Kajim Helam. According to that, since 1996, the late Kunzik Shamar Rinpoche gathered the resources and opportunities for all of us to be able to practice the Buddha Dharma at the most sacred place of all, to all of us as Dharma practitioners, at Bodh Gaya, at the Mahabodhi temple under the Bodhi tree. And ever since that time till now, or to be more precise, till the year 2019 or the end of 2019, we have been very fortunate to have been able to practice under the Bodhi tree this very same practice. And after the pandemic, then now this will be our second time practicing it virtually through virtual means. And now, of course, I'm trying my very best to translate what I just said in Tibetan, and so therefore I'm finding it very challenging, and therefore every time I try to do something like this, I develop greater and greater respect to all the translators. But I shall do my very best to capture what I said. First of all, it's important for all of you to be aware and to keep it in your mind that whatever I say here are all just basically my conceptual thoughts. Of course, originated from my hopefully positive motivation and intention, but nevertheless just conceptual thoughts, or these are my thoughts, and therefore not teachings. It's, I think, beneficial for both you and for myself as well to have that kind of approach. Now, the purpose of our aspiration, or the purpose of, in general, the practice of Buddha Dharma, of course, is very simply, as it is taught, as it is presented in all the scriptures and teachings, that according to the Bodhisattva's way, or to gain the perfect Buddhahood, the purpose of any virtuous action has to be based on the ground, or the aim of it has to be for the sake of all sentient beings. And of course, traditionally, we always use the logic that all sentient beings, no matter how many they are, and that they have at least once, or actually countless of times, they have been, or they had the chance or we had the chance to be born as their children, and so therefore they are all our mother. They have been all our mothers. And so therefore, all sentient beings, out of that logic, have all been our mothers. And so therefore, for their sake, for their benefit, not that it's a mission to save them from anything, but simply out of genuine motivation, we wish for them, or our own very virtuous deeds are dedicated for their benefit. And so that kind of attitude is said to be very, very important when it comes to practicing the Buddha Dharma, and particularly here when we are trying to practice the paramita of aspiration. And this is, of course, the very practice that one could say gave birth to countless of Buddhas in the past, and to the countless of Buddhas in the present as we speak, and in the possible future there will be also countless of enlightened beings who, due to this kind of mental attitude, or in Tibet known as semkye, and through this practice. So therefore, it's very important for us to have that kind of, beginning when it comes to practicing the Buddha Dharma. Now, from the just as the representation of Buddha Dharma is not just limited to a few, but actually that there are countless. For example, in our time, we are fortunate to have the vehicles of the common vehicle, the great vehicle, and of course to a great extent of traditional practices such as the Vajrayana is also part of those three. And so therefore we have been fortunate to have these great vehicles as a doorway to understand what the reality means. Of course, it is said that it's actually not just limited to these three vehicles. There could be countless of vehicles in various times or various universes. Countless of vehicles are introduced. So therefore, the reason is that according to each individual's motivation, according to each individual's character and personality, the vehicles will also be presented according to that. So that's why, although the aim is the same, aim of these vehicles, aim of these methods or means are the same, which is basically to cultivate compassion and cultivate wisdom, but the conveyances vary a lot. That's because each of us have different way of looking at things and approaching things. And so accordingly, the practice of aspiration also has very many variations. None of them are better or worse. It's just there are varieties. So out of the many varieties, one of the main or one of our focus for our aspiration practice is that of the King of Aspirations, or the aspiration of the Samantabhadra. And this is a practice that we have been doing for the last however many Gajumhelams we have participated. And hopefully it has been also a part of your daily life, this practice. For many of us who had the opportunity and time, we have used this this aspiration prayer in our daily life, in our day-to-day practice. And when it comes to now practicing this very precious aspiration prayer, of course, to most of us, I think it's easy to assume that most of us are beginners, no matter the age or whatever background we come from. And so therefore, in a general sense, we could have fears and doubts about this practice, just as we would have with any kind of work or endeavor. And so therefore, I've just sort of put it into a list, and that's how I try to present in Tibetan.